Okay, last topic for this unit is literal equations. And literal equations basically mean it's an equation that has two or more different variables. And the great thing about literal equations is you're going to use the same steps to solve these as you do any other equation. It's just that the answers are going to look different. But the steps are the same. For example, if you saw this two-step equation, your first step would be to add 5. To get rid of the 5, and you'd have 2x equals 18. We'll come back to this equation, but look over here. This equation has nothing but variables in it, and 4 different variables. And if I want to solve for x, then my goal, remember, is to get x by itself. So whatever I'm allowed to do to this problem to get x by itself, that's what I'm going to do. Over here, I'm trying to get x by itself as well. Same goal, get x all alone. So I added 5 here. Over here, I have nothing but variables. But I'm trying to get x by itself. I'm going to undo the subtraction with addition, just like I did in the other problem. When I add b here, that will cancel out. Negative b plus b is 0. But if I add b over here, then I have to go over here and I have to add b on this side. So the same step. This is where it starts to look different, but the steps are not different. So now I have ax equals c plus b. Because I cannot combine them, they're different letters. Different variables, you can't combine them, so I just leave them written like that right there. So basically what you're doing is you're writing down what you're trying to do, but you cannot combine those, so you just write it c plus b. Back to this problem. To get x by itself, I would have one step left, which is divide by 2, and these 2's cancel, and I would left with x equals 9. And I've solved the problem because I've gotten x by itself. Over here, if I'm trying to get x by itself, I have this a that I have to deal with. This simply represents a number being multiplied times x, just like the 2x was over here. To get rid of the a, I would divide by a. They would cancel out and leave me with just x by itself. But remember, if I divide this side by a, I have to divide this side by a, the whole side. I can't really divide those by a because I don't know what a is and I don't know what b or c is equal. So what I'm going to do here is just write the answer just the best way that I'm able to, which would be c plus b over a. Now I know that I'm finished because I have x by itself. This is where they differ. The answers are going to look a little bit different. They're going to look a lot different. But I have x by itself, which was my goal. So now I have solved it for x. So let's look at some one-step equations here. This one says A equals L times W. This is the area formula. Area equals length times width. And if I want to solve for W, I need to get W by itself. Well, LW means L times W. And if I want to get the L gone, I'm going to divide by L and divide by L. These L's will cancel and leave me with W by itself, which is what I'm trying to do. And over here, I don't know what these numbers are, so I'm just going to write my answer as A over L, and I have W by itself. Look at number 5. Here's the volume formula, length times width times height, and I'm going to solve for H. H is right here with all these other variables. Well, length times width times height, this is all multiplication, and if I need to get rid of the L and the W, which is what I need to do to get H by itself, I can divide this by L and W at the same time, and that will cancel both of them out and leave me with H. But remember, if I divide this side by LW, then I have to divide this side by LW, and I can't really divide those because I don't know what those letters are, or I don't know what the numbers are. So I just write out what I'm trying to do, and now that I have H by itself, I have it solved. Okay. Number 8, solve for M. Clearing the fraction, multiplying by the denominator. We've talked about that over and over. If I multiply by V, that leaves M by itself. But if I multiply by V over here, I have to multiply V over here. So there's my answer. All right, let's look at a couple more, and this lesson will be over. number 10. Clear the fraction, multiply by the denominator, times 3. So multiply this side times 3 would give you 3v. When you multiply by this 3, then that cancels out and leaves you with bh. And if I'm solving for b, I need to get rid of the h. Just divide, because we're undoing the multiplication, and that gives me the b by itself. But if I divide h over there, I have to divide h over there. So I'm left with 3v over h. And now I have b by itself. Just take it until you get the letter, the variable you're trying to solve for. When you get that variable by itself, then you're finished. So let's look at 14. I'm solving for y. So I'm going to leave the y alone, and I'm going to get rid of all this other stuff. So I'm going to take away this whole term from both sides. So now I'm left with by equals c minus ax. Dividing by b, the whole side, I've got y is equal to c minus ax over b, and now I have y by itself. Last example. I'm going to make one up. 2x minus 6y equals 11, and we're going to solve for x. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to add 6y to get rid of this guy, but if I add 6y here, I must add 6y over there. Now I'm left with 2x equals 11 plus 6y. Now I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to divide by 2. Now one of these is divisible by 2, and one of them is not. So here's how I want you to treat a problem when one of them is divisible by the denominator. Write them as two separate fractions, 11 over 2 and 6 over 2y. You're allowed to do that. And now I can simplify this one. So x equals 11 over 2 plus 6 divided by 2 is 3y. All right, that is literal equations.